Okay, this is a video over transversals and parallel lines. So let's take some notes first. It's going to go very quick. If you get stuck, then you need to pause it and replay it or slow it down. Basic definitions. Parallel lines. They are lines that are in the same plane and never intersect. You know what those are. That would be an example of parallel lines. Perpendicular lines. Lines in the same plane that intersect and form a right angle. This would be an example of perpendicular lines. They're in the same plane, which would be the front of the rectangular prism, and they're perpendicular. Oblique lines are lines that intersect but do not form right angles. So they could be anything else. Those would be oblique lines because they don't form 90 degrees and they're not parallel. Skew lines, lines that are not parallel and do not intersect. These should be skewed. One goes that way, one goes there. They don't intersect and they're not parallel. Coincident lines are lines that are the same. So line AD would be on top of line AD. A transversal is a line that intersects at least two other lines. Two lines that intersect with another line. This would be called the transversal. Now we're going to talk about transversals. Corresponding angles. So take your template or your ID and draw the following. Two parallel lines cut by transversal. We're going to say these lines are parallel, so I'm going to make a little symbol that shows they're parallel. Corresponding angles are angles that are in the same location. So corresponding would be, for example, this acute angle corresponds with this one. And they are equal. So corresponding angles are equal. In this diagram, you have four pairs of corresponding angles. There's one. Here's the second one. Here's a third one. And then the fourth corresponding in the same position as this one. Now you also know that these are vertical, so they would be equal. So corresponding is in the exact same position. So if this was 60 degrees, then this would be 60 degrees. And you should be able to get all the angles in each intersection. 60, 60, 120, 120. And since the lines are parallel, then that intersects. We'll copy and paste this one. So the vertical is 60, the ones that are adjacent are 120s. Alternate interior angles. Make two parallel lines using your straight edge, draw on a transversal. Now this time these are parallel because I have a little triangle symbol that shows that they're parallel. I'm using different symbols because that's what the books are going to do. Alternate interior angles look like this. They're on alternate sides of the transversal and they're on the interior of the parallel lines. These would be equal. So they are equal. How many pairs of alternate interior angles are there? There are two pairs. This pair, which is the acute pair, and then there's this pair, which is the obtuse pair. So there's two sets of alternate interior angles. Okay, let's go down to the next problem. Alternate exterior angles. Again, make two parallel lines cut by transversal. You know they're parallel because of the squiggle line. Alternate exterior angles are on the alternate sides of the transversal, except this time they're on the exterior. So this obtuse angle would match this obtuse angle, which means this acute angle matches this alternate exterior angles. So there's two pairs of alternate exterior angles. and they are equal. Now, all consecutive interior angles, some books call them same side interior angles. Draw two parallel lines and draw this in. These are parallel because they have the triangles again. Consecutive interior angles look like this. They're on the same side of the transversal and they're on the interior. So if you notice, one's acute and one's obtuse. Together, these two angles will add to equal 180. So they add to equal 180. There's two pairs of these. These two will add to equal 180, and then these two will add to equal 180. There's the acute, there's the obtuse, and these will add to equal 180. Okay, so there's two pairs. So now let's quickly go over a couple problems here. I'm going to put a number in there. You pause it after you write the number in there and answer the questions on the back, or answer all the angle positions. So let's pretend that angle 1 is 45 degrees. Okay, pause, answer, fill in all the other 7 angles, and then start it up again. Go. Okay, now that you pause it and you're starting it up, all of these angles are going to be 45 degrees. That means the one that's adjacent to it forms a linear pair, so that's 135, and all these are 135s. So you got all the angles in there. Now this is true, assuming that these two lines are parallel. Any parallel line will have the same measurements. Let's try it again. I've given you 120, pause it, fill in the rest of the angles, and then restart it. Okay, now that you restarted it, the obtuse angles are 120 degrees, and all the acute angles should be 60 degrees. Any question? Okay, good. Now go to the next picture. Next picture. On your paper, you have the following. You have 15x plus 33 and 6x. So what would it take to solve for x and find all the angles, assuming that A is parallel to B? Well, those form a linear pair because it's an obtuse and acute, so you would add them together. To equal 180. Then you solve it. Subtract 33 and you get 147. Divide by 21 and you get 7. So if x is 7 and you plug it in, 4 times 7 is 42, which means all the acute angles are 42. 15 times 7 plus 33 is 138, which means all the obtuse angles are 138 degrees. You're done with the problem. That's what you have to do in today's homework. Solve an equation according to what you see, and then work it. Let's try the next one. Here, I've given you the following. This angle is 8x minus 10. This one's 6x plus 9. According to the fact that this line is parallel to this line, this acts as the transversal. These angles are called alternate exterior angles, and you know that they're equal. So 8x minus 10 equals 6x plus 9. Subtract 6x. Add 10. Did you get that? Divide, and it goes in there 9.5 times. Now let's plug it in. 8 times 9.5 is 76. 76 minus 10 is 66. So this is 66 degrees. 6 times 9.5 is 57. 57 plus 9 is also 66. So you know that you're correct because the alternate extra angles match. That means all of the acute angles will be 66. And then what do you do to figure out the other 4 angles? Those are the obtuse ones. 180 minus 66 is 114. So all these are 114s. Okay? All right, that should conclude your lesson for today. Put this away and start the worksheet. Go pick up the worksheet number 23 and work on it. And when you're done with both of them, turn them in to the teacher, the substitute, and then you can start on your Delta Math. Show all your work in Delta Math by writing the equations on paper. Thank you.